Okay. Everybody can see my screen, see the presentation, right? I can't see you, so thumbs up doesn't work for me. Yep. Okay, good. All right. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background just on the idea of the reason we do our trips in the time of year that we do them, the purpose behind them, just so you kind of know the ideas going into our trips. We do all of our major trips in the fall, early in the school year for a couple of reasons. Number one, the weather in the fall in Colorado tends to be, well, today is a wonderful example of that. So the weather tends to be better in the fall for us, especially since all three trips that our students take have largely an outdoor component to them. And so, and so doing them in the fall just made sense. So I've been doing trips with the middle school 20 some years. The 7th grade trip is the one that has been the longest in my life. And that's been to Idrahaji, and we actually still go to Camp Idrahaji. And so the beautiful part is, especially with this 6th grade one, is, and the teachers might know, like Mr. DeBoer knows because his kids are closer to this age, but like when our 6th graders arrive, like Miss Allred and all, like we don't really know who's brand new to Denver Christian and who's been at Denver Christian for a while. Like I just don't know that unless I've had like their siblings or something like that. Although I'm at the point now where maybe I taught their parents. Like I just don't know. Okay. So the point of that is, oh, we got to let someone else in. The point of that is we launched these right at the beginning, and this September 6th through 8 is like right after Labor Day. So it's within just a couple of weeks. So you spend time in the beautiful outdoors, as you can tell by these couple of pictures here, just getting to know one another and hanging out with one another. And there's a few more people coming in here. And so the point is, let's start the year A, in beautiful weather, B, out in God's country, right? I mean, like if you look at those pictures and then you just everywhere you look on the different hikes and the time in Rocky Mountain National Park and in Estes Park and all that stuff, you're just like surrounded by just God's beautiful country together, right? So that's kind of the point of these trips is let's get out, let's go together, let's get in the woods, let's do some overnights and things like that. So the focus of the experience, and so this is a perfect segue. So the focus of the experience is, you can see those there. So again, a little bit about the trips as it relates to this bullet list here. Our 6th and 8th grade trips are organized, run by this amazing Christian organization called Simply Venture. Simply Venture also runs a few of our Discovery Week trips in the high school. And so these are their focus points. So they kind of cater and build this trip for us per our requests. Same with our 8th grade trip to the Black Hills in South Dakota. We say, we want to focus on this, and they say, great, we'll do this. This is our philosophy and things like that. So Simply Venture, they run these trips. So Simply Venture also just ran a 1-day adventure for our 8th graders. It's a time of reflection. We do this really cool thing for them. It's a secret we're not going to tell you what it is. It's really cool, and it's a special moment for the 8th grader, and it's just awesome. But it's out in God's country, right? It's all about the adventure. So we do some hiking, we do some nature programs, we just hang out and play and be 6th grade kids. There's also some time for some reflection that usually occurs in the evening. And then there's some team building time both during the day and in the evening. And then, of course, like I started, this relationship building time, this time to just hang out. And if you're brand new to Denver Christian, this relationship building time is really, really important. It's really, really key. And then if you're not new to Denver Christian, it's an opportunity to welcome these new 6th graders into our community, into their now new community. And then just collaboration with peers with different experiences throughout the different days. 6th grade team, do you want to add to that?
I would say a couple, like a lot of my kids in my homeroom were new to Denver Christian, and the kids that had been going to Denver Christian their whole lives said, I would not have probably chosen to hang out with that person unless we went on the trip, and now they're my best friend. So it's just a great way to, yeah, build that team and build the non-DC and DC group together.
Awesome. Thank you. That was Mrs. Kamink, 6th grade math. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. All right, here we go. All right, so we're going to go through a little bit of an itinerary, and obviously the weather is typically pretty amazing, but obviously sometimes our weather can be a little goofy, and so there have been times on some different trips that we've had to punt and do some different things, but it still ends up being a great experience. On that Wednesday morning on the 6th, you arrive to school at the regular time. So you'll show up with your gear. And by the way, you're not moving out for the semester. So you don't need to show up with like a suitcase the size of a twin mattress, right? We don't need to do that. It's just a few days. And so let's recognize that, right? And then there's a hike in El Dorado Canyon. There's a picnic lunch. And then we just keep on driving up to Estes Park. And then we get settled in at Y of the Rockies, YMCA of the Rockies. And then there's that kind of the game room and team building, like right away is intentional because it's fun. There's no pressure. There's more of a fun element versus like this intensive reflection moment. Like we don't need to start the experience like that. We just start with just some fun time. Let's just hang out, laugh, and be silly together. And then we have some dinner and then roller skating, which is oftentimes super funny and really fun. And then once we've kind of like, we're learning some names and we're hanging out and all that good stuff and learning new students that maybe aren't in our homeroom already. And then we do some connectivity time and campfire prayer and reflection. And what's interesting is the Black Hills trip has something which is the 8th grade trip, has very, very similar themes. Sometimes there is a campfire because they're at this lodge up in the middle of nowhere. It's really awesome. But there's prayer and there's some reflection time. And the point of that is just to be really intentional about just slow down and let's just pause and let's think during this reflection time. And it can be a really neat experience, especially when the students sort of allow it to be that experience. Team, do you want to add to that?
I can touch on that. I think, sorry, can you hear me?
You're good. You're good. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think in general, I really appreciate, and part of this is Simply Venture, but I think even in this last year, we kind of collaborated with them of like what we really wanted to bring into some of that reflective time. And I think it was just really beautiful to get to witness what the combination of play and like thoughtfulness could create in a way that I think it's like allowed for students to be open to it or embrace it moving forward in the year, because it like started with this idea of like, yeah, we're gonna go roller skating and have a ton of fun and figure out who plays hockey and who can skate and how to do this and work together, and then we're gonna like sing worship songs around a campfire and giggle about it, and then also like talk really beautifully about the stars and the massivity of that. And I think it's just a really cool trip that's like totally packed tight with a lot of different things, but it's also packed with like a lot of things we care about in terms of wanting to carry out continuously throughout the year. And so I personally just really enjoyed specifically the end of night sort of activities that felt like they were filled with a lot of stuff we love.
Beautiful. Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good point, Miss Allred. That's 6th grade science for all of you who don't know. So that's a really good point. The kind of one of the main things is to kind of launch into the year with some reflection time and like Miss Allred said. So that's a great point. Then all day Thursday is in Rocky Mountain National Park. It's interesting because it's in our backyard, but some of our 6th graders, we do learn that they've never been there, or they were there once when they were tiny and they haven't been back in a long time, even though it's one of the most iconic, spectacular national parks in the entire country. And so to really get up in there with classmates and teachers and to spend some time, like it says there, Albert Falls, Tyndall Glacier, Nymph, Dream, and then those different trails is pretty awesome too. And then kind of head back to camp. Again, there's that fun time, swimming, dinner, gym, games, like an opportunity, like Miss Allred said, just to kind of be silly and laugh and have fun together. And then there's that time again, that intentional campfire reflection time, and then obviously some different games. But again, that intentional campfire reflection. So often our students, they don't necessarily like just slow down, like no technology, no nothing. Let's just pause in the evening after a really long day. So the students are exhausted, which in my experience, when taking the zillions of school trips that I've done, when the students there's a little bit of fatigue in there, there's some vulnerability. And then sometimes you can really have some special moments there, again, during that campfire and reflection time. Team, you want to add to that? Or are we good? Your call.
Yeah, I'll just say that they go to bed a lot earlier on Thursday than they do on Wednesday. They're pretty tired.
So 10 o'clock, lights out. They're already asleep and the lights aren't out yet.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, so that's that Thursday. So that's the long day, right? You're up there the whole time, and it's a really long day. So then Friday is a totally different day. Friday is stand-up paddle boards, the kayak swim, slack line. I hope you know what some of you might not know what a slack line is. Slack line it's basically, it looks like a tow strap that is as tight as a guitar string between two trees, and you try and walk on it. And if you've never done it, it is not easy. Your legs start shaking. It looks like you're on a sewing machine. Your legs are like going side to side quite a bit. Hammock, and then a grill out. And this is just a flat out fun day. It's in beautiful weather. It's just fun. And then Simply Venture brings all that gear so that the students can just have this great time having fun. There's no other middle schoolers there. It's just their time to just hang out and with their new friends and their brand new teachers and all that good stuff. And it's just a really, really, really fun time. It's just you just finish on this really silly note. I'm trying something new. Some of you may have kayaked, some of you may never have kayaked. And so that's kind of a new experience too. And then we head back, and the students will end up back at school at about 2:30, 2:45. And they essentially just jump right into the regular car line. And then right at that 3:15, and you're good. You head off for the weekend, and the kids probably sleep for like 48 hours straight because they're super tired and they haven't slept in 2 nights. So it's a it's a good way to end the trip. A couple of details on this. Obviously, dress modestly. It's the same thing I tell the other students for the other 2 trips. Avoid like jeans or like heavy sweatpants to wear like throughout the day, because you don't know what the weather's going to be like. Jeans aren't super comfortable, especially even if you get a light rain for 30 minutes. Jeans, they like stay wet like the whole day, right? So just think about the right clothes that you want to wear, comfortable shoes. The same thing I tell the other trips, in my opinion, some type like a running shoe. They're nylon. If they get wet, they dry really, really fast. They're easy to walk in for long periods of time. So I always recommend some type of running shoe. Hiking boot sounds like a good idea, but I don't necessarily think it's like the best idea. Because there's just other times when you're just hanging out and you're playing these games, and hiking boots may not be the best. And then a coat, some type of light jacket. Again, you never know what the weather's going to be like. Most likely it's going to be warm, but you just don't know if the weather's going to kind of rain, those afternoon showers or whatever. And then a hat, totally up to you. You're up at a lot of altitude up in Estes and Rocky Mountain. So having some type of hat, sunscreen, different things like that would be wise. Pajamas, sleepwear. Please keep in mind you're in a kind of a dorm setting. So like sweatpants and shirt, whatever, right? So just be mindful of the sleepwear that you bring. Personal items, obviously there's the obvious, there's the toiletries and things like that. The sunscreen, again, I highly recommend the sunscreen. You're at altitude. Headlamp, flashlight, obviously good. Day pack, again, the other 2 trips do hiking as well. I tell them the same thing. You don't need like a zillion cubic centimeter backpack like you're going on a 14-day overnight pack where you don't need that. But I also don't recommend like the string backpacks, those like cinch sacks, because those aren't always very comfortable. But some of our students actually, for all 3 trips, they actually empty their school backpack because it's comfortable. It's a good size. They just empty it and use it as their day pack. But you'll want a water bottle, definitely want a water bottle, and snacks and things like that. And then of course you'll need to bring a sleeping bag. And then on day 1, look at that bottom bullet point, gang. That's really, 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 really important. On that day 1, because we're traveling, we're driving, you've got to bring a sack lunch of some type for that day 1. I would recommend it being in like a paper bag, not in your school lunchbox or anything like that. That way you can just recycle that brown paper bag. You're not carrying that around for the next couple of days. Team, do you want to add to that, or are we good? Okay. All right. This is a tech-free trip. No iPads, no phones, no nothing. The chaperones, meaning the teachers and staff, they will have their phones with them for emergency purposes, for safety purposes. Students may not bring their phones. Do not bring your phones. You can live, trust me. I've seen it happen before in the wild. You can survive 3 days without a cell phone. I've seen it done. And we will do it again on this trip. Now, if you want to capture the moment with pictures and things like that, there's just like regular digital cameras. You can bring those if you've got one of those. It's funny because they're like old school, as funny as that sounds. But if you want to bring like a digital camera to capture the moment, awesome. Our teachers and Lance, who is the owner and who runs this trip, he's the owner of Simply Venture. He takes tons of pictures, So we will have plenty of pictures of the trip, and we will do our best to make sure that your child is in at least one of those pictures. I'm sure they'll end up in more, but we will do our best. But yes, no phones, no nothing. You will be okay being away for a couple of days without your phone or contact with home. So it's a good, safe environment to kind of do that. Okay, team, you want to add to that? Or are you good?
Just to say that we do provide updates and send pictures and stuff for parents to check out like during the trip too.
Good reminder. Thank you, Mr. DeBoer, social studies. So in all 3 trips, including this one, of course, we will create like a Google photo album, and we'll send you a link to that photo album. And that way you can look in that Google photo album throughout the days when we're away, and you'll see fun pictures of all the different adventures that the students are going. Yeah, thank you. Good reminder. So we will share pictures throughout the 3 days, so you can kind of keep an eye on all the fun happenings. Okay, so a couple of things about the payment. So this is one thing that I suggest. And so my kids are in their 20s, but they did not do the 6th grade trip, but they did the 7th and 8th trip. We didn't have the 6th trip actually 10 years ago. So I highly suggest, and I made both my children do this for both their trips, have them pay for it. $375 per student. Have them mow lawns in the neighborhood, have them do extra chores around the house, not just other chores of being a good steward of their home, but extra stuff. Have them babysit, have them walk dogs, whatever, pick up poop in people's backyards, whatever. But I strongly encourage the students to pay for the trip on their own. I highly suggest that. It is a more meaningful trip. They own that, like that first bullet point says, it becomes theirs and they own it. And I cannot stress enough how cool that is when the student is able to throw down that $375. You've got from now till September to pull this off. And I just cannot stress that enough. And then also, it's not too early to start praying, right? Today's a good day. Pray for the brand new 6th graders that you've never met before in your life that are coming in. There's going to be students enrolling over the summer that you've never met. Pray for that. Pray for yourself. Pray for your current students. Pray for new friendships. Pray for current friendships and the opportunity that this has to make your current friendships even better than they already are. Okay? So anyway, that's that part. So start to own the trip. Current 5th graders, soon to be 6th graders, start to own the trip. This is your trip. And then just kind of a detail at the bottom there, DC and Simply Venture provides all the transportation to and from, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so on this, we need each student to register. That is not the payment site. We're gonna run that through fax. I'm working with Mr. Epperhart on exactly what that might look like, because we're debating on whether do we bake it into the tuition into your fax account. Do we send you a separate bill? That's what we've done in the past. So anyway, Mr. Epperhart and I he runs our finances. He and I are still sort of working out the details of that. Okay. That being said, you still have to go in and register with Simply Venture. So do that. Go to that link when you get this presentation tomorrow morning from me. Go in, register your child, get that done before you forget, because all of a sudden you're going to go on a trip. this summer, and summer's going to go by, and then all of a sudden it's like August 15, you're like, oh my goodness, I haven't registered yet. If you have any questions about the trip, for example, a meds question, or I'm gluten free, or I'm dairy free, or right, those types of things, you're going to go to Simply Venture. Okay. Let me talk briefly about the meds. If your child has a med that they have to take each morning, obviously you'll take it Wednesday morning on your own. And then Thursday and Friday morning, we're going to need to assist you in that. So here's how that works. Here's how it works for all 3 of our trips. So Miss Nielsen, my administrative assistant, so she works with Children's Hospital. We have a contract with Children's Hospital. We have had a contract with Children's Hospital for many, many, many years. They audit all our books every single month. They come in for literally 5 hours every month and they audit our books. But they also go through our meds list and they help sort of manage all of those needs. So let me give you a hypothetical that I think if you have meds, I think it'll make sense to you. Let's say that you need a med that you have to take every single morning of every single day. We want to honor that. We want to support that. We have a system for that. We have documentation for that. We have books for that. Our teachers take those books with them. Here's your role in that. You must, and this will be in the directions that you'll get from me, by the way, in this email tomorrow. You need to provide a prescription from the doctor that tells us when, where, and how much. Okay. Then what you do is you provide those meds in the original bottle. So you might have a bottle that currently has like 30 pills in it. Please do not send 30 pills with your child. That would be not an awesome idea. If there's one in the morning, you need to take one in the Thursday morning and you need to take one Friday morning. That's 2. You will send the original bottle with 2 meds in it. You're going to pull the other 28 out, put them in a Ziploc, just let them sit at your house. You're going to get the bottle back from us Friday. You'll put them back in the bottle when you get the bottle back. Okay. I hope that makes sense. We do not need more meds than your child needs for this trip. Another example is a lot of our students will self-carry like an inhaler. If they self-carry an inhaler, they'll self-carry it on the trip. No problem. Here's another example. And again, this is true for all of our trips. If your child says, I'm worried about being sore, like maybe they don't hike very much, and Thursday's a pretty good hike, and you're worried about being sore and you want to have Advil, you have to have a prescription from the doctor that says, yes, your child can take Advil. You will give us in the original bottle however many you think they're going to need. They cannot carry those with them. The teachers, the team has to carry those. Your daughter, son, you cannot carry those with you, just like you can't carry them in school with you. Okay. So you're going to give that Advil with, say, 4 little pills in it. You're going to turn that in with a prescription that says, yes, you can take Advil. Okay. Here's the reason why. This is my last thing before we kind of close out here. The reason is if something goes sideways and all of a sudden we find, and someone's injured or hurt or whatever, I don't know, and we find out that someone's been handing out Advil like Skittles because all their friends are sore from the hike, and we don't know that that's going on, that's a humongous problem, which we cannot have. I'm sure you can understand why that's really, really important. So anyway, you're going to get all these details from me in the follow-up email tomorrow, but that just kind of gives you a sense of the kind of the med situation. We take that so seriously. And so we just need your cooperation on that. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And now I'm going to take questions if you've got them. If you don't have any questions, that's okay. We'll just bow out. It's been exactly 30 minutes since we started. So want to let y'all, want my team to be able to go do their thing and then see if you all need anything. Any questions, gang? Speechless. Anything? Dude. Wow. All right. Okay. So tomorrow morning, this video is going to render. I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. I'm going to send you the link to it. You're going to, oh, go ahead.
Sorry,
You're
Dr.
okay.
A.
Yeah.
The question is about roommates. Is that going to be staff automatically selects? Do the kids get to put together a wish list? How do you guys do that process?
That is a great question. And I know they have an answer for that. One of you answer that.
Yep. So kids put together a wish list and we make sure that they're with at least one of those people that they feel comfortable with.
Thank you.
Great question. Anything else, gang? Okay, cool. All right. So your job is to start praying for this trip. It's a great trip. It's a good length. It's awesome. It's a good time of year. So your job is to start praying for this trip. And then you will get a follow-up email with this recording and some other key links regarding this trip. You'll get that tomorrow morning at some point from me. Okay? Cool. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for joining us. Thanks, team. You're the best. All right. See ya.